All right, today we are looking at what's known as effective and nominal interest rates. All right, so I'll put some sort of more detailed definitions in the screens after this, but effectively, the nominal interest rate is what the bank or the investment tells you. All right, so they tell you that it's 10% per annum, or 3.25% per annum. All right, so that's the nominal interest rate. Now, depending on what the compounding is, um, over a year, you may actually earn more than 10% of what you put in the first place. So the effective interest rate is how much interest you've earned in a year, taking into account compounding. All right, so the 10% here, for example, if it's 10% per annum and your interest is compounded monthly, the total amount of money that you get in interest over 12 months would be different to if it's 10% and it's just compounded once in that 12 months. All right, so nominal effect is what the bank tells you. Effective um, is looking at how much actually money you've earned in interest, and comparing that over the 12 months, which takes into account the compounding. So couple of other ways that you can write that. Whoops, clicked the wrong thing there. So here, the interest rate per annum at which the interest is calculated. So that's it, simple as that. Then it says there, nominal rates are then adjusted to the compounding rate depending on the compounding period. All right, and so that then is what we then would refer to as the effective interest rate. So when interest is compounded, you end up with earning more dollars interest in interest than you would have for a flat rate. All right, so like I said before, if it's 10% per annum compounding monthly, you're going to end up with 10% more money in interest than if you had 10% per annum flat rate or simple interest. Or if you prefer compounding yearly. All right, so the one on the left, you have an interest calculated 12 times in the year, and then it compounds each month, whereas the one on the right, you've only got it once in the year. All right, so the effective interest rate is the interest earned in dollars after 1 year as a percentage of the amount that you either borrowed or invested. So there's a nice little formula that kind of works that out, and here it is here. So our effective interest rate is R to the N minus 1 times 100. Okay, so the minus 1 comes into it because the minus 1 is to do with our initial investment, or our initial amount. So we've got to take that out, our initial amount. All right, our R, similar as we've looked at before. Our big R is 1 plus the interest rate over 100 times N, and N is our number of times we compound in the year, and our R is our nominal interest rate per annum. All right, so we've actually been using the nominal interest rate for things, but I just haven't been actually calling them that name. All right, so here we've got an example. Don't like that thick thing. So anyway, Brooke wants to borrow, sorry, can't just read that. Brooke wants to borrow $20,000. She has two options. A is this, B is that. Calculate the effective interest rates and then which is her best option. All right, so there's the overview. Let's have a look then at what we're on about. So let's look at part A for example to start off with. Effective interest rates. All right, so effective interest rates, what information are we given? All right, so we've got two options, A and B. So let's just look at option A to begin with, all right? So option A, we've got an interest rate there of 5.95%. And we're compounding weekly. So compounding weekly, and so there's 52 weeks in the year, so N is 52. So the big R, if we come back here, big R is 1 plus little r 100 times N. So our big R is 1 plus little r over 100 times N. And then when you put that in your calculator, you get 1.0011444231. All right. So then the effective interest rate, then for that, we'll go back. There it is. Big R to the N minus 1. So we need bigger R, which was 1.00114423 to the power of 52 minus 1 times 100. And so when you put that in your calculator, you get 6.1269, or to two decimal places, 6.13% for A. All right, so those calculations, let me show you how we can do them on the calculator. So here we go, the calculator. All right, let's get rid of all of that. All right. So the first one is this, the 1 plus this one here. So 1 plus, 1 plus, and when we want a fraction, we've got a template in the keyboard. So on the top, we've got 5.95. And on the bottom, so you can either click there or use your, down we go, I'll use that one often. Doesn't matter which one you use, it's whatever you get used to. Times 52, and then you go EXE, and there's your answer. All right, the reason I'm showing you that, because when we get to the next one, so we've got this big number here we want to enter. So there's a way we can do that without having to type it all in. So let's go back. So this next one, we've got 1 minus, and we need a bracket. It's not 1 minus. So see this template here, this one here. So that'll do the something to the power. So now we've got the power we want is 52. So that's the power up there. All right, so this one. We need the number that goes in front of that. So you need to move your cursor and you need to make sure. So now look at the size of the cursor, click flashing in front of the 5, and look at it when we go to the left one more. So it's now bigger all the way down, all right, rather than, let me just go back. See, it stops here at the bottom of the 5. Now it goes all the way down. All right, so what you can do is you can highlight that and then drag it. All right, so that saves you having to type it all in. All right, so let's now move across. So what else do we want? So now we've got this part, the first part. Now we need the -1, close the brackets, and times by 100. All right, so the -1, you can either click all the way out the end there. See, now it's a big cursor all the way down there, -1. All right, so I know that I'll put it in the right place. All right, if I didn't put it in the right place, so yeah, it's now up there with that 52. All right, so that's why I put my pointer right out here when I clicked on it. -1, close the brackets, times 100, EXE, there we go. All right, so that little bit of calculator stuff can save us some time. All right, so there's a A, and that's what we're interested in. 6.13. All right, let's have a look at that B. So B, all right, if you want to go back, you can, or you can just, as I've got this written on a sheet of paper. The interest rate here we're told is 6, and it's compounding quarterly, so N is 4 for this particular calculation. Yeah, 6% per annum compounding quarterly. All right, so our big R is 1 plus 6 on 100 times N. If you do it on your calculator, same as we did before, you get 1.015. So there's our big R. And so our effective interest rate is our big R to the power of 4 in this case, take 1 times 100. And when you stick that on your calculator, you get 6.13635, which to 2 decimal places becomes 6.14%. All right, so part A, part A, we've got 6.14 and which 6.13. So part B, which is Brooke's best option? Now, before we figure out what her best option is, we've got to go back and we'll say Brooke wants to borrow. All right, so Brooke's borrowing money. So when she's borrowing money, she wants to pay back as little as she possibly can. So you want to pay back as little as you possibly can. So if you want to pay back as little as you possibly can, you're going to want the lowest interest rate. And so option A is 6.13 effective interest rate, whereas the effective interest rate for B is 6.14. So for A, effective is 6.13, and for B, effective is 6.14. So because she wants to borrow, and when you borrow, you want to pay back as little as possible, that means then for Brooke, option A is her best option. All right. So it's important that you then, for that, you go back and you really do have a good look at the question and see what the question is is saying, whether it's borrowing or investing. So here's a little note about that. So borrowing, the lowest effective rate is the best, and investing, the highest is the best. All right, so you need to think about, are you paying out money or are you getting money in? So in the borrowing, you got to pay out the money back. You got to pay it back, so you got to pay it out, pay it out. So you want to pay as little as possible, lowest. Investing, you're getting money in. People are giving you money when you've invested, and so you want to get the most you can in, highest rate. All right, now the next thing to note is that your calculator can do this effective interest rate thing for you. All right, so calculator can convert effective interest rate. So on your main screen, here's the thing: action, financial, interest conversion, convert to effective, and then there's a syntax that you've got to put, because when you do convert effective, you get convert effective, and then you get, they open a bracket, and then you've got to put some information. So what you need to do is in this order. So we need compounding periods first, then the nominal interest rate. So let's have a look at a question where I might do that, and then I'll walk you through on the calculator. So a rate of 4.5% compounding monthly. All right, so what's our effective rate on that? All right, so let's do the calculator. Here we go, down our calculator. Here's our calculator. So we go action. We're going to do some sort of action. We're doing financial, interest rates, financial, borrowing, investing, financial. What are we wanting to do here? There's a bunch of stuff that we can do here. What are we wanting to do this time? We want to convert interest. So interest conversion. What do we want to convert? Do we want to convert it to the effective, or do we want to convert it to the nominal? Well, we want to convert it to the effective, so convert F. All right, so here, convert to effective. See, open the brackets. Remembering our syntax. So our syntax is our compounding periods, which if it's monthly, it's 12. So compounding periods, 12. Then we separate the information by a comma. And what is our nominal rate? 4.5%. So our nominal rate is 4.5. Close my bracket. EXE. There we go. So my effective rate, 4.59 to 2 decimal places, is equal to 4.59% is the effective interest rate. So then you go and you can pair that with your other effective interest rates, and depending on whether you're borrowing or investing, you choose which one's your best option. All right, so that's that. So these is exercise 8G, questions from your work plan, and this is the last chapter 8 questions. So we'll be moving on to chapter 9, which is part of the recursion and financial. Digs deeper more into the financial things with loans and the like in our next chapter. All right, need any help, make sure you get on to me so that I can give you some assistance.